Hobbs Shaw is directed by David Leicht and it stars Jason Statham and The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Vanessa Kirby. And it tells the story about Hobbs and Shaw having to team up together to protect Shaw's sister, who has injected herself with the snowflake virus that Idris Elba wants, if I'm saying the actor's name correctly. They must protect the snowflake virus from getting into the wrong hands, or else humanity will cease to exist. And I only have one question. Why couldn't Vin Diesel help out? This could have just been Fast and Furious 9. I saw the trailers before going into this movie, and I knew what to expect, and I got exactly what I expected. So I have fun with it. If I was expecting something more serious and grounded, with some great action, like a John Wick movie, then I would be disappointed and be like, this movie's just stupid. But it is what it promises in that trailer. It is over the top, it's asinine, it's impossible with the shit that they do, but it's fun. Even though one person was sleeping in this movie. How the fuck is that possible? Starting off with the positives, I will say that this movie is shot pretty decently. It's got some stylish editing that they do where they show you like split screen shots of Shaw and Hobbs living their life, day-to-day life. And you got like Hobbs eating like 14 pancakes, which I heard The Rock does in real life. I like Jason Statham in this movie. He's probably one of my favorite action actors of all time. Jason Statham and Stallone. I love his Transporter movies, so Jason Statham alone was a reason for me to come to this movie, because I'm not even a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. I've only seen like half of them. And I thought that there were some pretty good action pieces in this movie. The ones that weren't so crazy and impossible, I was enjoying, but the ones that were impossible, I was like rolling my eyes. But I was expecting like shaky cam or something, but it was actually shot pretty decently. It didn't cut a bunch like over and over and over again. It's not like a Jason Bourne film. It's a pretty long action movie too, like John Wick 3, except it doesn't feel that long. I mean, it paces pretty good. And I also like the cinematography in this movie. This movie looked beautiful in some moments, the way it was lit, and I love the neon lights in one scene. Especially, I love when there's different like colorful lights in play. That's why I love the John Wick movies. John Wick 2 is probably the most beautiful action movie ever. And I really liked a couple of the cameos we got in this movie, especially by, spoiler alert in case you don't know this, I don't know if they announced it or if it's in the IMDb, but Ryan Reynolds is in this film, and he's the saving grace when it comes to comedy, because everything he said was comedy gold, everything else was just cringeworthy. Now going into my negatives, I will stick with the comedy. I hardly laughed in this movie. I only laughed when Ryan Reynolds was on screen, and everything else was childish, just dumb kindergarten humor. There's a lot of moments where Hobbs and Shaw are like going at each other's throats or making fun of each other, and at first it's kind of funny, but then they just drag it out way too long. And it's like, we get it, you hate his guts. And they do that a few times in the movie, and each time they extend it, and you're just waiting for them to shut up. And like I kind of said before, it's complete asinine, the shit that they get away with in this movie. They call the bad guy Black Superman. They're like, oh, he's Black Superman. It's like, you people are Superman too. You got The Rock jumping out of skyscrapers, not fearing for his own life. He just completely has 100% faith that he's going to land on this person rappelling from the building, land on him, and not just fall to the fucking earth like a bowling ball. I mean, the guy weighs like a boulder. Like, he's huge. If he hit that guy on the rappelling down, he would just smack him off his rope. I don't know. It's like, it's just dumb. And then even at the end, he has like that chain, and he's like literally pulling a helicopter down from the sky for a moment to reattach the chain. It's like bullshit. This movie really was just about establishing how badass The Rock is, more than Shaw. Like, Shaw never really got too much attention. They never tried to like build him up as a complete badass. They always did that to Hobbs. He takes his shirt off and he's pulling the helicopter down. Shaw never really had that moment. He just kicked ass here and there, but he never did anything so crazy like Hobbs. Speaking of Hobbs and Shaw, they feel like cartoon versions of their previous selves in part 7 and Hobbs in part 5 when he was introduced. They were like legit people, and now they're like cartoon characters saying dumb stuff and just cringy, but it's an even tone throughout, so it lets you know right off the bat. It's like, yeah, this is what this movie's going for. It's dumb. It knows it's dumb. It's just trying to have fun, and it succeeds in that. But I just feel like this movie kind of diminishes your feelings towards Shaw and your intimidation towards him, how awesome of a villain he was in part 7. That's kind of like, well, now he's just a cartoon character almost.
Access granted. Access denied. Access denied. Access denied.
Hobbs and Shaw, they're basically just comparing dick sizes throughout the whole film, just trying to like outman each other. So the jokes in this film, they just kind of get redundant, and I never laughed. I just kind of smiled at best. But I did have a pretty decent amount of fun. This isn't a terrible movie by any means necessary. They actually do try to build these characters. They expand on their backstory just a little bit more. They tell you about Shaw's sister and his mother, and Hobbs' daughter and his mother. There's never a father on either side. Weird. But we get to know just a little bit more about them, and I wasn't expecting any kind of character backstory or trying to build character relationships or anything. But there actually is some character development in this dumb cliche throwback to the 80s commando-like movies. That's what this really is. It's kind of like a throwback to the 80s with Arnold and Stallone and Cobra and Commando. That's really what this is. It's kind of like a love letter to those type of movie fans. And I think it does a pretty good job in that department. So I'll say when it comes to Hobbs and Shaw, this is a fun, guilty pleasure action movie. So if you're a fan of that genre, go out and buy it. And those are my thoughts on Hobbs and Shaw. Have you seen this action flick yet? Let me know what you thought about in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching this video. You can hit this like button, show your support. And I got social media links in the description box below. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I would highly recommend that you become a subscriber just by clicking my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.